Hey guys, welcome. Hat Tuesday number 32. Hat Tuesday number 32. Hopefully you guys are having a great Tuesday, right? Hopefully, if you guys haven't already done so, you get out soon and rock the vote, right? Get your vote out. Doesn't matter what you choose to vote for, as long as you exercise that right, right? So, and we got my man Paul here already. Paul, how you doing? Welcome.
I'm doing good, thank you. And you?
Doing well, doing well. I felt like, given our discussions, this was an appropriate, a hat to wear. Like I said, this is one of those hats that you're like, it makes you feel a certain way. Like if you don't feel a certain way already, and you gravitate towards it, it'll make you feel a little bit more festive. So it's just one of those
You want to
hats.
go out there. You want to really be
Yeah,
the man when you walk in that room. You're
correct.
the center of attention.
Correct. Like I said, you can hear the Carmen San Diego music playing in the background. Basically, it's just again a wild out there. It's probably one of my most talked about hats. It's just when it's on the war, it just stands out. So, but today I'm wearing it. We'll see if our good buddy Nathan, comes on soon. But yeah, Paul, any new hat news to share?
Yeah. What have I done this week? I made a very nice hat for a gentleman who sadly has cancer on his head, and
Hmm.
I made a hat that was almost the same as an Akubra cattleman. He had a
Oh,
particularly small head size, and he wanted a particularly wide brim. And so that came out. He came and collected that today, and was over the moon, which is always lovely when you're handing over a hat. When it fits, that's great. And what's that? I think I'm the guy that's never watched that. And yeah, and that went down very well. I had another gentleman who came and bought a hat this week, and then asked me to make the open road that's behind me. So that's just finished.
yeah,
That's a 4X open road in Silver Belly, which I'm pleased for him. And it's
yeah,
245 grams, which I tell you what, working on the heavier weight grammage really does take a struggle out of your hands.
yeah.
Stretch it over the block and so on. So that's quite a job. But when it's made, it's really, really very solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the moment I've got two or three other hats I'm working on. So been keeping very busy. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, and I love the one you're wearing. Obviously, it looks like it's got the purple brim trim
Yeah.
and matching band ribbon.
Yeah, it was just
Beautiful.
a bit different. It's a Fepsa felt. It's 130 odd grams, so not very heavy.
Yeah,
Hi Ian. It's just it's very that's appropriate, isn't it? It's the same color as I made a hat for Ian actually, and
yeah.
just a
Yeah,
lovely felt. It's a very high crown. Not everybody's cup of tea. I appreciate that, but
right.
I quite like them, and it does stand out. It's got a nice, very unusual interior.
Yeah,
Yeah, just a fun hat to wear. So I thought, well, I saw it there, and I thought I'll pick that up and wear that today.
yeah. No, that's wonderful. And Nathan, welcome. How you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you guys doing? I was going to ask Paul. He's been making hats for I don't know how several years. I don't know. Do you find a season that kind of spikes and then slopes off, or is it just kind of a steady?
Yeah,
How was your
that's
12
a really
months
interesting
cycle?
question because I thought that it was going to be seasonal. I thought I was going to get lots of requests for straw hats. I've
Yeah,
probably ended up making two or three straw hats, and that's all. And I've refurbished a few more, so probably sold literally half a dozen of straw hats in my time. But
yeah,
constantly, I'm asked for felt hats. So all year round, whether it's, I mean, when you think about it, here in the UK, it's not as hot as perhaps in America, in certain parts of America anyway. So we have temperatures like now, it's maybe 12 to 14 degrees in the day,
yeah,
Celsius, going up to, in a summertime, a very hot day for us will be 25 degrees. An exceptionally hot day will be over 30 degrees, but we don't see many of
yeah.
those. So, things like the open road and Western hats, people just order them all year round. Um,
Right.
Trilbies and fedoras, I say they're more seasonal, but in saying all of that, it's actually at the moment I've almost sold out all of my light coloured fedoras and trilbies. So I was only
Yeah.
sorting out some felts today to make some more to put into stock, because it's a chicken and egg. If you don't have them, then people don't think, well, he must do those. But then
Right.
if you have them, they're in the wrong size, so you end up making another one anyway. So
Yeah.
you know, I this is the one thing I would say is I keep sort of 50 odd hats up on my website or on eBay or whatever, eBay shop, but I don't necessarily sell a lot from
Yeah.
there. What I get is maybe 5 or 6 a month will sell from those sources, but the remainder I get is probably 15 to 20 where I get people actually asking for a commission because they've seen that hat, or they've come to the house or whatever. But seasonal, I would say probably the warmer seasons it's not as busy as the colder seasons, but still it's more than enough. I'm not a very big hatter, I'm quite happy to do 200 250 hats a year. More I mean, crikey, that's more than enough for me, really.
Five a week.
Yeah, I mean it's made up of second-hand hats as well as the new ones, but I don't really have the time to do any more than that.
Right.
I will say, what was I going to say? Lost my thought. One thing was about the straw. I didn't realize you did straw. Had I known that, you'd already made a straw for me. But I would think, maybe with the season now, you should throw a YouTube video up maybe with the straw, because I don't think you've ever put a straw.
No, I don't think I have. I just want to make a note of that. Yeah.
And there was something else that just went in my mind and went right back out. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. That's definitely like I said, Paul's got some great, like I said, follow him on Instagram. You can get to see some of his fine hat creations. Obviously, visit his website. And then obviously we for those folks that tuned in, I guess that was just last week, right? We got to see another fine creation. Again, inspired me to wear the hat today. And then we'll take a gander at that whenever Nathan's ready. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Great topic for today. Hat taste, and what I've got on today is one of my first hat purchases. I'll admit that I don't wear it a ton, but this is I think it's pronounced Scala.
Scala, yeah.
Okay.
Scala.
One of my first hat purchases, and I wanted to kind of have this because from kind of where you entry level into hat wearing and where you end up at, right? But this is a very safe hat. I mean, the color probably going to go with 75% of what your wardrobe. Very safe. I was going to measure this, so probably I'm going to guess a 4-inch crown, but yeah, 4 1/4 for those. What is that? 11 centimeters there, Paul. And the brim 2 1/4 or about 6 centimeters. So very, very safe hat. The other thing that's cool about this is you can just you can do whatever you want to it, and it's gonna it's gonna pop right back out. So crushable, packable, water resistant. If raining out, gosh, just put this thing on and don't even worry about it. So this was a good entry level hat. So when we talk about hat tastes, and I'm curious to get Paul's input, being a hat maker, because he was a hat enthusiast before he was a hat maker. This is where I came in at. Now later you're going to see my last purchase, which is totally extreme compared to this. So I'm curious, Paul. Coming out of a hat enthusiast and now making hats and restoring hats, how has your personal taste evolved since you've been more hands-on with your creations?
Yeah, well, that's a really great question. I was thinking about that before coming on today, and when I first started looking at fedoras and things, there was 2 types of fedoras that I bought. One was an Akubra, And it was actually the Cattleman, first of all, although I've had several Akubras over the years. And the Cattleman was a great hat for putting on with my barber, which is a cotton waxed coat, and going out walking, getting soaking wet through. And I've still got one actually, and the hats are so robust. So that was a really, really solid purchase, if you like. The next one I bought was a really odd one. It was a Spanish riding hat, which is like the Gambler, but it was like, oh, why on earth I bought? I must have been going through a fancy dress phase or something,
right?
Or I know, maybe I saw the film Zorro. I don't know, but anyway, I bought one of those.
It's functional though because of the brim.
Yeah, I know, and I bought it, and if I wore it once, that's probably overstepping the mark, you know.
Yeah.
So I think then the point of telling you that is that both of those were quite wide brims, and actually I'm with Nathan that my first hats that I bought when I started getting into it again was actually a trilby, because what you find is if you go for a 10 centimeter crown, 4 inches, and a 2 1/4, 2.5 inch, 6.5 centimeter brim, you're gonna be very safe. You know, if you're going for a black, a brown particularly, a blue, these are all safe colors that go with tweeds and denim and so on. Now, it's only when you start putting those hats on and wearing them, then you start to feel, okay, now people aren't looking at me or saying, what an idiot wearing that, you know. Actually, it makes me feel better because I feel warmer. It goes with my outfit. I feel quite comfortable with this. And it's at that stage that you start feeling about becoming a bit more adventurous. And I went through that sort of adventurous stage of thinking, okay, can I get a wider brim? And that's where I found out about the difference between a trilby and a fedora, and being that sort of 2.5 inches and over as a fedora. And of course, it was quite challenging to find anything that was, one, my size, and two, the sort of colors that I liked, because in the older days, it was very much the browns, the darker browns, the blacks, very dark blue, but not many of the lighter colors. I mean, Borsellino was making some, but I didn't know at that stage. And of course, getting the size, I'm at 59.5, so that's quite a large size compared to what people were sized up as several years ago. So the only thing I could do really was think about how can I buy
audio, I think,
you know, and so I went up to London to have a look in the shops up there, and eventually I then started thinking about how can I make a hat myself and make it to my specification. And I, in my research, I saw this in the 1930s, 1940s, and 50s, and they wore higher crowns, and I particularly like that because I think it stood out. And I'm a bit of an extrovert anyway, and I just thought, well, wouldn't that be nice not to have something that is off the shelf and straightforward and very much, you know, Herbert Johnston or Lock and Co-esque, if you like, as being one of their traditional hats, which of course are lovely, and I have as well. But having something that's a little bit more out there would be a bit of fun. And I don't mean at that stage I wasn't looking at the bright reds, the yellows, the vibrant greens. I was just looking at something that was just in its shape, something that that fit my stature. And I've got a 50-inch chest, and so I'm quite a wide chap, and I'm about 6'1" tall. So I need something with quite a brim just to sort of sit nicely with my size. So that's how I sort of got into the wider brims and the higher crowns. And of course, being a hatter, my God, it's like being a child in a chocolate shop. You know, you wake up every day and you think, oh my God. Only today I was looking at getting out some felts for a client, and I came out with 3 that I want to make hats for myself. Client. It's like, Paul, you've got to stop this. You've got to make some money out of this some point, you know?
Right.
But with clients like Nathan, who happen to be the same size as me, it sort of works out, if you know what I mean.
Well, we got.
Now, have you been able to use or take advantage of the swatches, or that? I know you bought that. I forgot the term for it, but have you been able to use that to your advantage?
Well, it's a very good question, because I've only just had an email this afternoon from a gentleman who's a he's a hobbyist hatter in the UK, I think, and he was asking about Fepsa felts and things. So I said, yeah, I went out and bought this this swatch book, and it's probably got several hundred swatches of the different colours and the different types of felts that Fepsa do.
Yeah.
The problem is when I show the felts and the colours to a client, and they say, "Oh, that's great, I'll have it that colour, please," and I go to Fepsa. No, our computer says, no, we haven't got that one. We haven't got that one.
Right.
And it's like, so where I think Fepsa are at the moment, I haven't got to the bottom of this, but where I think Fepsa are is that if you are a larger retailer and you make hats to your spec, you can go to Fepsa, you can ask for a certain color from the color swatch book. You can then commit to having maybe 50 or 100 of those made in that felt and in that color,
Yeah.
and they will make that felt in that color and weight. And then you'll take it back into UK, and around Luton in the UK, which is widely known as being the hatter's centre, if you like, in the UK for many, many years. There are companies there that they have these metallic blocks, aluminium blocks that they heat up, and then they press out the hats to the various sizes. Now, you can either have your own blocks made by Boone and Lane and then get them to press it out, or they will have them and you can rent them. So they'll press them out and then you can dress the hats to make them. Now, that's one route. The other route is, of course, where Fepsa do make felts and they make them in colours and they do put them into stock, but then you're on to a fairly limited range. And if you go onto their website, they've got a new website, by the way, and they've got a whole range of felts, but it's not huge. So the other thing is that, and this is where I think it's great for when you're starting out, they do a thing called a mystery box, and a mystery box is made up of felts of different weights, different sizes, different colours. And it gives you an opportunity to actually try what are termed as being seconds, although I'd say that some of them I've had have not been seconds at all. And others, they've had marks on the edges where you actually clip the brim. So if, in fact, you make a hat and you cut the brim to a size that cuts that out, you've got a perfectly good felt. So that's a major tip that maybe I shouldn't be letting people know, because if everybody goes and buys the mystery boxes, I won't have any more. But anyway, the fact is that that's another good way of doing it. So in answer to your question, I know that's been there you go. You know that it's been a long-winded answer, but it's Fepsa are quite frustrating to work with unless you're a bigger company, and that I get emails probably once or twice a month from people who said that to me because they've seen that I actually work and buy the Fepsa felts.
Maybe it's you could use it as kind of an introductory, like what as far as the color palette, let's narrow it down a little bit to what color range are we looking at, and then once you've got that kind of narrowed down, okay, let's pull up the website and see what's available. You know, it's just kind of a great way.
Yeah, I think so. It's as you say, it's a good guide. And I mean, look, I took the decision that I would keep in stock about 200 felts, and I've just only today I've ordered another, I think it was 50 or 60 felts today. The idea really is that I have actually reached out to Fepsa and said, look, would you like a distributor in the UK? They've not given me a straight answer to that. They did work with Baxter, Hart and Abrahams, and there was a frustration that I know Nick there that owns the company. He said to me, look, biggest frustration with Fepsa was one of continuity of stock and availability to what they wanted. So it made it very difficult for them to know what was coming in and all the associated things of keeping a regular range. So you know, my thoughts are that I sort of do it without advertising it. But if hobbyist hatters get in contact with me, I say, look, come on a Zoom call, pick out 2 or 3 felts or however many felts you want. We'll work out a price for you, and I'll send them over to you. And it's got 1 or 2 people out of a hole, and it's also saved people you know, considerable amount of money. So I'm sort of thinking that might develop as a business opportunity, but not that I need it. But it's more of a case of I want to try and help these youngsters, or sorry, youngsters in terms of their time in hatting in the UK, because there are limited places you can buy felts. And in fact, you know, a lot of the places the felts start at sort of 70, 80 pounds a felt, and sometimes you don't need, you know, a fur felt costing that. You need something to practice on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if if you got a firm answer on that, that could also like help guide your decision making in terms of the new property. That way you can take that into account in terms of storage and all the other associated
Yeah.
things that go along with that. So
How's
yeah.
Brad today?
Brad.
I'm doing okay. Hi guys. I was having trouble logging on there earlier.
Yeah, no worries. Are you back from Philly, Brad?
Yeah. I got
right.
back 1:30 in the morning yesterday. So.
Wow. Wow. Oh my gosh. I love the photos, watching, especially the Stetson. Oh my gosh. That was
so
amazing.
cool. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
So Brad, do you have a bowler or derby on? What I know forgive me because I know you've explained this several times.
Yeah. It's a Dobbs Derby from the 1930s. It just came in the mail yesterday, so I had to wear it.
So we're talking about hat taste kind of evolving. Have you, when you kind of got it, have you always been gravitated or are you gravitated toward them, to the bowler derbies, or is that something that evolved into, or you've evolved from there?
Oh, great question. No, that's one I evolved into. When I first got into hats, I was more interested in a like a 20s or 30s fedora style, and I realized those are two different styles. Because they change, but that's kind of where my interests were. But as I got into research about derbies, and especially with Crowfoot and Knapp, because they brought the derby or the bowler to America as the derby, I started to collect them, and then I started to wear them, and I've fallen in love with them. So they're one of my go-to hats all the time.
Wow. I haven't been brave enough to try one yet.
Yeah.
They are a bit different to think about when you put them on your head to get used to. I mean, it's if it's in your size and it fits, it's comfortable and you don't have to worry about it. But just you're worried about how people will perceive you, and
you will get patted on the head. I find that is like, again, I have a couple Stetson 1930s fedoras. People really want to see. I guess they kind of like, oh wow, I've seen one of those in movies maybe, but is it really like? And then they'll start patting your head, and you're like, I don't know. And it'll be like, you'll be at a function, and then somebody's patting your head like you were a puppy.
Wow. Right.
Josh had a good.
Matt, you gotten the same thing?
Josh had a good question. Is it hard or soft?
Oh, it's hard.
Yeah.
And Brad covered this as well before on one of the previous episodes. This was kind of like it was a function. It was hard because it was functional, right? It's for horseback riding. I believe. Yeah.
The beaters used to wear them over in the UK here, where they were beating for the grouse shooting and things. So it was a design that was asked for Lock and Co to make the first one, I believe.
Yeah.
And they still do it today. I mean, it's just a wonderful piece of hat history, really.
Yeah, the Coke hat, huh?
Coke hat, yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I do love it. Like I said, it's one of those iconic, and you got to see Brad expound on the kind of the history there. The videos are out there. I think I've shared that in our inner circle there, our Good Luke's network here. But yeah, it's just one of those hats that's iconic. There's a great history behind it, and I'm glad to have been able to find a couple examples. And again, that whole, like, I've not had a hat where somebody was compelled to pat my head. So, what are you going to do? Yeah.
Now, Luke, I know, you're the stingy brim guy, but how have your tastes kind of?
Yeah. And I talked about, like, this was kind of like this cheap straw trilby, right? That I got, for the first time in Croatia. Again, it was I was taken aback by kind of the sights of everything and then the weather. So this was Croatia in early, I want to say, let's just say mid-May, right before the busy season. The weather is just pleasant. There was a great breeze. It just felt, and then I was just drinking. There was this flavored beer that I found locally that I just kept drinking that felt very tropical. Everything felt great. And I'm like, you know what? I need something on top of my head. And I kind of just wore, I found this for a few euros and I wore it kind of Frank Sinatra style, the back of my head. and that became the vibe. And then ever since I got back, I never looked back. So I never became a strict straw guy, but this was the one that started it all, you know. And it's one of those things where like, this is why, like you talked about the Scala, you know, and I think these are the ways that folks find their way, because one, just putting something on your head that's not a trucker cap or a baseball cap, that's already a major step in the way towards getting into that evolution. And the nice thing is the internet, right? So the internet exists. You got the Fedora Lounge, you got the Facebook groups. I feel like we all picked this up, and I feel like we've seen some of that with you, Nathan, as well. In that you're out there, you're active in the forums, you see something and you're like, oh, well, I got to get me one of those. You know, you have that curiosity. And I feel like you're a perfect example of some of that, like I said, evolution. It's not like you're necessarily new to the game, so to speak, but this is how it happens. You see something, you see somebody else wearing something, you get curious about it. Maybe you do a little research, and all of a sudden now you own one. Yeah.
Don't remind me.
yeah. You know, it's like, I got to have that.
Now, what year was that, Luke? I'm curious. What year was?
Oh, that was I want to say that was like 2 to 3 years tops ago. So I'm fairly new to the game. Yeah, this was not a long time ago. Okay. So it's one of those things where, but for me, like, and I always talk about that, like with Brad, I have this inherent, like, I guess the researcher in me has this inherent need to know. You know, I did that when I joined the, you know, when I started getting into firearms. I will go and I get obsessed. You know, it's probably like I said, with ADHD, you have that focus. Now that I know I have ADHD, it's like you get that focus and you get that tunnel vision. Like you can really focus on some stuff, and then you go into and you get into that vortex. I call it falling into the vortex. And you just got to keep researching until you satisfy that and you scratch that itch. And again, the nice thing is you got venues like the Fedora Lounge. You got great folks on Facebook that allow you to kind of scratch that itch, and they're in a very welcoming way. And you know, I just felt like I became part of the community. So
well, you know, for such new, because that's, I mean, 2 to 3 years. That's, you know, what 36 months. I mean, it was fairly fresh, and so, you know, congratulations on your 32nd Hat Tuesday.
Hey,
and
thank you.
Oh, by the way, 140 people are following and tuned into what you're doing.
Thank you.
You're only 10 away from 150. Can you believe that? I remember just like yesterday, it was what, 92, 91, and we were like, okay, let's get to 100.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Like I said, it's one of those things where I'm like, the fact that, and again, I know this is a small community, and then, you know, I never really expected to kind of gain traction at all. It was kind of like, all right, I'm going to do this because, well, hopefully, one, I felt inspired. You guys know, my son's a YouTuber. You know, I'm like, let me go and do this. I'm passionate about this. Let's see what happens. And you know, now you got folks that are kind of tuning in, paying attention, participating, and then you guys, meaning my inner circle, have been the biggest gift because, well, like I said, you guys come out here, give your time, you know, and make the channel what it is. So I'm very appreciative. Thank you, guys.
I think there's two things really, Luke. One is that by excuse me, creating a group, we all encourage each other to be more adventurous vis-a-vis what Nathan's about to show us. Okay, so that's one thing. I think the other thing is that I go back, and I'm a little bit older than yourself. I go back to the sort of 60s and 70s, and I remember that there were groups of youngsters who were influenced by the modern day the films that were going out there and what have you, and they were in the mods and rockers and all that sort of thing, and they were starting to wear hats. And of course, when one started wearing a hat, you found that the group, the kids would save up and get hats. And so you know, I'm very much of the opinion that, you know, if you've got a hat and you circulate with your friends, it's more likely that those friends are going to say, well, actually, you look pretty good in a hat. I mean, where'd you get it from? What can I, you know, how can I get myself meaning on doing it? But I've never had the courage. So I admire your take up on such a thing, and I'll maybe follow. So I think that's the influence that we have over the people that we mix with, really.
Yeah.
I was at a gathering on Sunday. It was an anniversary gathering, and it was probably 30 or 35 folks. And I'm always kind of, you know, looking around. It was an outdoor event, but I think there were 4 or 5 hat guys there.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool, you know. So about 10%, 1 out of 10. Some of them were functional,
Yeah.
much like Paul, follically challenged.
Yeah.
But, so it was a very functional sense, and then myself and another one was just all style. And matter of fact, one of them was one that started buying hats after he started spending more time around me. He's got a couple of hats, you know. So it kind of spread, you know, from there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely have seen that. And like, I love that because again, we talked about it, creating new hat people, you know, you'll get sometimes comments besides, you know, it's kind of like, I wish I could do that. And I'm like, well, you can, you absolutely can.
For sure.
You know, if you don't have a hat, I'll let you borrow one, you know, and you can try it out for you if you want, you know, and this is how we do these little things to kind of do this, grow the community.
As you guys talk, I'm going to start cutting my.
Oh yeah, I love that.
You haven't even opened it yet. Oh, okay, all right. Well,
no.
Tremendous restraint.
I don't know how you restrain yourself.
Yeah, you gotta love the discipline in this man.
Yeah, respect.
Yeah. So Nathan's gonna do an unboxing for us. You know, and some of you guys that were here again, this was just last week, was it not?
Yeah.
Paul, this was just last week. We saw this. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, that was great timing. And man, I love it. So yeah, I think if you did miss it, then you're in for a real treat. You know, and obviously, even if you did catch it, you're in still for a treat because obviously there's been you know, some things that were modified according to Nathan, but you saw that process right on camera, and it's still in syndication. You can watch it later if you didn't catch it. You can see the eyes, right? Nathan saw that thing, and he was like, "Don't even bother. That's mine." You know.
You know what? The thing is that the world is so small in terms of sending things around the world now, and the process is so much easier than it was.
Yeah.
You know, I find out how much the dispatch is going to cost the courier, and then they tell me how much the import duties are. I pass that on to the client, and the client they pay it to me, I pay it to the authorities, and that's it. You know, and it takes like 4 or 5 days to get to Nathan. How quick is that?
Yeah, it was super fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always again, it's the blue box as normal. The 3 sticker trademark PJM right over there. That's what that is.
There's a security reason for doing that, because if anybody opens it, you know that they're not going to have the sticker to be able to reseal it. So
Yeah.
Just figured, I didn't know what to do being such a small business, and I thought stickers, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Practical and classy.
Yeah.
Letters always come, trade, cleaning and how to treat it and all that stuff. So.
Yeah. Paul doesn't leave any stone unturned. I love the
He's seen it. He's seen.
Yeah.
There's a bonus hat.
Yeah, there is.
Oh my gosh. See, this is also becoming a thing I've been seeing. Well,
you rascal.
bonus hat. Wow. Gotta love that. Man. Oh yeah.
That's
all right.
That's so cool, man. I don't even that's cool, man. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Oh, you're very welcome.
Gotta love it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
You have to do that. That's so cool.
It's a nice touch, Paul. Yeah, that's awesome. Oh.
I apologize. I'm watching on my phone and I can't read what's on the hat.
Oh, it's the logo that I've got is the bird.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
It's just a nice thing. It's, you know, it's not in your face trying to be a promotional,
right?
You know, Pepsi Cola or whatever. It's just
yeah.
That is cool.
And Paul must have put it on because it's my size right now.
There you go.
Excellent.
Thank you so much. This is really cool. So yeah,
that's awesome. Wow. That's a nice touch, Paul. I think that
is awesome.
Oh, look, when you got regular customers, you want to build a relationship, and you know, with customers and those that you consider more friends as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always about making a dollar, is it? It's about
That's
you
right.
know, keeping all this going.
That's right.
Um,
Oh boy.
wow, this is really cool. Yeah, so I don't know if Paul's lighting, whatever his lighting is, everybody's got
Yeah.
different lights in their rooms, but it looked so like really bright when Paul had
Yeah.
it on.
Mhm.
And now that I'm looking at it in person, I wouldn't even describe it as bright, but I would describe it as rich red.
Mm.
Yeah.
And this thing is gorgeous,
Yeah.
gorgeous, gorgeous.
I think it might be safe to say this is your most out there. Yeah.
There it is.
Look at that.
So cool.
That is neat. That's awesome.
Yeah, and anybody that's
It's
worried
cool.
about how hats arrive when they come from one side of the world to the other, you know, people like Hornscoff
Yeah.
and other people and myself, we invest in these boxes.
I love it.
Yeah. Branded.
So
Yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, that's gorgeous. Like I said,
That is fantastic.
Man,
Oh, that looks great on you.
yeah, looks good on either side, on both sides of the pond.
Yeah.
We've already
Yeah.
verified.
that is gorgeous,
Look
Paul.
at that.
Good.
Oh, I love
Really
it.
cool.
And,
And
it fits so
like
good.
I said,
It should snap down okay, I think, Nathan. Yeah. Yeah, oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
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 Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
this feels so good.
It looks good. It looks good. And like I said, you know, I guess would this be a stingy brim? It kind of looks like more of a stingy brim. I don't know what the measurements on there are. There you go.
Hey.
All right. So the crown is right at 11.
Okay. Yeah.
11 centimeters. So for us illiterate Americans over here, that's 4.25 inches.
4.25 inches. All right.
And the brim right at 6 centimeters, or
Okay.
about, is that 2.25 ish?
2.25. Okay.
Yeah.
Just above stingy brim. That's a lovely length.
It's got great proportions.
Yeah, and
Great
the teardrop,
proportions.
as usual, from Paul, just a gorgeous teardrop. You know, it's a good looking hat.
I like that.
You know,
like
and
it.
I think it really goes well. Like I said, I think with that shirt, obviously also Pizza Hut branded, but I like, for me, you guys already shared. Like when I wear this hat, I try to wear all black. You know, I know some folks are hey, they're gonna deck out in all red. But
It's
look
like
at that. It's like a perfect
Mhm.
kind of a compliment.
Sister
Yeah.
hats here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Lovely. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh yes.
I can't wait to hear what your bosses and your employees think.
Oh gosh, they're gonna. I'm hoping this one's gonna be really popular.
Yeah, that one should. That's a Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Well, that's 100% beaver fur felt, so it will.
Yeah.
It just feels awesome, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is the beaver, and even this. I mean, this is the 5%
Yeah.
beaver, 95 rabbit, and this thing's just like silky smooth.
Mm.
Yeah.
So how long did what do you pounce it? Like how's that process?
Probably about 30 minutes to 40 minutes, and it's starting off with a 700-800 grit and going down to a 220.
Yeah.
And you can just do it by feel. You know, you just get. Look, at the end of the day, I just pounce them to what I like, and fortunately, what I like seems to be what my clients like. I never fire any of my hats, only because I just think that they don't do that, as far as I know, at a lot of the hat making factories. And why set fire to something that's as good as what we're making? You know.
Yeah.
So I know that's controversial in terms of some people, but I think that's
Right.
a fashion thing more than a necessity. Let's say.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure I was going to pull this off, man, but this thing looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Like I feel like your outfit right now is is what I would choose.
It looks great on you.
Yeah.
You can pull that off, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Man.
very cool.
Yeah.
And I think this year at the spring event, I'll have a white coat on, white blazer.
Yeah.
So.
And Paul, do you have more of this felt in stock?
I think I've got one or two. Yeah, I mean, it's something that I can possibly get more of, and just you know the story. It was seeing your hat. I couldn't buy it because you bought it.
Yeah.
And I really wanted it, and I thought I'll order some felts up. I ordered a couple of felt, and I usually, when I can, I order 2 of the same color and the same type of felt, because if it mucks up for whatever reason, then there's another felt to fall back on. Frankly, I've never really had that problem, but so I do have some more of the red felt in stock. So, but it's so attractive that it's. I suppose I'm going to have to make this up another one, but I can always get one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, again, I feel like even if it's something that you're like, I'll never wear this, again, you guys seen it hang on the wall. It always gets attention. It's like, what's that red one? It just gets your eye. So, you know, it's one of, and again, don't discount the fact that you could pull it off. You know, Josh here says the color is great. I agree. You know, it's one of those
very
things
rich.
that red
It's not
is
as
just
bright
one of those colors.
not as bright as I need to go back and watch the video, but it's very rich. It's a very rich red.
Yeah.
Very.
And
very
Morgan
cool,
is here. Hi,
Oh, look at
Morgan.
Hi, Morgan.
Morgan in the house. Look at me, Morgan.
Yeah.
Catching up with you, Morgan. I'm snipping at your heels.
Yeah, Morgan says, hope y'all having a better day than I am. The bar isn't too high to be down. Oh, Morgan, I'm so sorry.
Man.
Yeah.
Again, hopefully, yeah, like I said, hopefully we can help brighten the day a little bit, at least with some red fedora felt action. You know, I know it makes me smile. Hopefully it does the same for you, Morgan. Sorry to hear that.
You know, speaking of Morgan, I think recently she made a comment. She was going more like Western, and you know that's how her taste had kind of evolved. You know, so that was interesting. And like, you know, that hat on I started with. I mean, what a contrast! That's
And this is a perfect, like you know, the discussion. Color is part of that evolution, right? We talked about this many times, right? Like regardless of how you get into this, you're going to encounter the traditional colors a lot more often in your journey. You're going to see the blacks, you're going to see the grays, the browns, those traditional conservative colors. But that evolution starts, hey, wait a minute, what else is out there? You know, you have a favorite shirt that you kind of want to match it up with. You have a favorite sports team. You know, those colors out there. And again, if you're coming at it from vintage, like I did, you're like, well, it's gonna be hard for me to find a vintage hat in this kind of red. And now all of a sudden you start thinking, okay, can I get it made? Right. And then you see it, you know, maybe you see a show like this and you're like, I need something like that. Maybe it's not red, maybe it's a yellow hat, right? I think it was Jedi that was talking about, you know, a yellow hat that he purchased. You know, these are colors that you're going to be a little hard pressed to find that in the vintage universe. But if you open yourself up to custom and things of that nature, then now you have that open to you. And again, you already made the biggest leap, which is putting on a fine hat. You know, the color, it's like, why not? Right.
I think Fetzer have a peppermint green, 100% beaver fur felt. And I'd love to buy one and make a hat from that. But it's about £300 just for the felt. I think what that leads into is also, I think, as your taste in hats and your experimenting grows, I think you allocate more of a budget yourself because you're actually more confident about the fact that you're likely to wear it often, and therefore you'll get the value from the hat. So I think that's another thing, you know, color, you go on a journey, price, you go on a journey. And then I think also, as you've touched on, you know, buying off the shelf or going custom, that's another journey to go on, and finding you know, a custom hatter that suits your tastes, your price, your you know, your style. I think that's a lovely journey to go down.
Yeah.
So that's a 9 centimeter. I think Josh has made a comment that 3.5 inch.
Yeah.
Is that 3.5 inch brim on this one, and this is a really cool. I mean, it fits good, looks good. It's I think Stetson puts this out, but 11 centimeter crown. But yeah, that's that brim that Josh is mentioning there, which is, you know, very Very fit. I think most people could pull this off. You could use it as an introduction to a wider brim hat. I think
Yeah.
probably the one that Luke and I will design with Paul in the fall. I'm really looking at that 9 centimeter brim on that. So yeah, just different varieties. So you got that, and I mean, you've got different taste going on there.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, you got. I love that angle right there. You can see the top of that, the front of that crown, and that slope that I love. I love that. It just looks, it just looks great.
You talking about this one or the one?
Yeah, on the red red
yeah.
Fedora, yeah.
Oh, it's.
But I think that's one of the Paul's signature, and and it's just a very great silhouette.
I'll be honest with you. If somebody when we gather in this next month at our convention, I might be gifting this and ordering another one because I know somebody that is really. But we'll see.
I love that. See, this is the way these things happen. It's one of those things where I'm like, if you have it in your heart to give some of this to somebody that, like I said, will admire it, but they're like, you just took out a barrier for them. And I know, like we talked about pay it forward, right? I talked about it on the show with my brother, pay it forward. These things do have like ripple effects. Morgan says, hi, Brad. Good to see your face, especially. Yes. Brad just came on an amazing trip to Philly. He was going to have to settle the who wins the Philly cheesesteak wars. Yeah. Wearing your trademark Hamburgs and bowlers. Yes, I agree. And it's again, the process of getting this, like we've talked about this with Robert. I took a path that Robert kind of talks about often, which is you start off with the stingy brims because they're a little bit less out there, and then you get a little bit more bold with that brim width. But you can also get there the different way, right? Paul, as well as Nathan, for different reasons, right? Paul had a health thing where he needed that brim for coverage. Nathan probably got to see more cowboy hats, around him, in his neck of the woods. And there are various different ways, now he's got something, he's experimenting with more of the styles. And I love seeing that, especially live, right?
Yeah, I can say, just going from stingy brims to that 2 1/4 range and going Western, and then scaling it back a little more with those crossover hats, where it's like a little bit of Western, but it's a fedora, the open road, especially like you find that I think that's a little sweet spot that a lot of people land on. So it's, it can, your hat tastes certainly evolve over time, I think, for most. I think generally speaking.
And obviously we've talked about this obviously with the Fedora Friday series movies, right? Brad was on talking about his Indiana Jones journey. I think continuously movies are gonna have that influence, right? Like I don't think we'll ever get too many to the point where movies will be out of style. Maybe I'm speaking too soon, but for us, right? We talked about Humphrey Bogart. We talked about The Godfather, right, with the Hamburg. Then we went to Indiana Jones, Run DMC, all the way up to like Johnny Depp, right, Public Enemies, and all those films. Like the film influence will continuously be there. So as long as new films start coming out and happening, I feel we'll still see more evolutions. And then obviously we talked about the future, right? Or things that were a new twist, right? The mechanical hat, the Ebola hats and that squish model that Ebola develops, which is kind of a take on that squishable top hat. But I feel like engineering in hats is going to be also something that we'll start seeing, So besides having a personal evolution, you also can have these cultural ones. Paul described this often in terms of obviously he has customers on both sides of the pond, and he's gotten to see kind of like the differences in some of the tastes, right? With those folks in his neck of the woods being a little bit more conservative, And then us here, being a little bit more willing to be out there with the festival hats and things like that. And obviously Paul's, evolved with that and is able to kind of straddle both of those universes. But I feel like all that stuff gets recycled, right? You start seeing like I always think of breakdancing. Breakdancing was big here and wasn't as big back in Europe. Now you see most of the breakdancers that you're seeing are from other countries, right? You see a lot of big European influence. You see Australia. You see all these, kind of like Asian influence as well that are kind of like reliving that culture. So it's a lot more fresh to them, and they're the ones doing it. So these things happen in cycles, and you got to love that.
I think the music industry has a great effect. If you look at the superstars, I mean the really superstars of this world, and you look at what hats they've had, it's all been part of their overall presentation and their brand, and that's what I think also then influences their fan base. Yeah, and inevitably you see copycat hats coming into the marketplace. So I'd like to think that will continue and grow within popular culture of music and have an influence on our hatting.
Yeah, I agree. Because the stingy brim, especially, like I've been out and I think I've shared this anecdote of like folks like, are you a musician? It's like, which is kind of a little funny because I'm like, you definitely don't want to hear me play music, but it's, again, that association that people have with that stingy brim fedora and let's say jazz musicians or some kind of musicians that might be popular, at the time. But yeah, again, it's part of also the neat thing that they use in costuming for movies, So we'll do some musicians as well. I don't think we've tackled that except like more cursory level, obviously with the pork pie, because that's one of those hats that I feel like the pork pie hat and like the jazz musician, that's a big connection. And then Morgan asked about Brad. I'm sorry. Morgan asked about whether Brad was a historian. Yeah, I guess. Yes, yes, he is.
Yeah, Morgan, if you haven't seen Brad's, he's got some pretty cool YouTube videos with some history stuff in there. That's pretty neat. If you haven't, caught that.
As well as his website, definitely check out Brad's website as well. Anything like more information there about Hat Corporation of America than any other source that I found. And I still use the website. It's just great info. So yeah, shout out to Brad for doing what he does. Another big win. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of the red hat, like I said, this is one of those hats. I feel like everybody should own at least one red hat. It just really kind of sets a nice tone for your collection. Again, even if you're not somebody that wants to wear it out in public, but I think you should.
Yeah, this is cool. I mean, yeah.
That's awesome. Red. That's awesome.
And it fits well.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is one of those things that Paul does that I really love is that he just goes out there like nothing's really out of his realm. He's the kind of guy that you want as your hatter. So, we've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, if you don't have a red hat in your collection, that's work your way up there.
Yeah, and maybe yellow will be. I mean, I got to tell you, I was looking at Instagram and I really should have remembered the name, but if you guys follow my Instagram, you guys will see because I try to retweet it. It was a yellow, and I call it Lakers color, right? The purple and yellow combination, and it's B something hat maker, but but yeah. I saw that. I was like, wow, that's phenomenal, and it's one of those, again, those eye-catching colors. And these sports teams, there's no accident that they do these color combinations. I think they put a lot of R&D into some of that logo development, So, yeah. Morgan says, sorry, I'm late to the news on that, Brad. Maybe you could link me your stuff on the board group. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. Oxblood is the color I really want. Yes. I've only seen it on Dillinger in Public Enemy. Yeah, Oxblood, and I talked about this on the with shoes. For some reason, like it's and shoot like with leather shoes and leather belts, Oxblood just looks good, you know. So
It's like
yeah,
a dark, like a dark
yeah,
burgundy
yeah.
almost. Right?
Correct, correct. And we definitely talked about wine, which is kind of related, just a classic colors.
Probably a bit darker than that, but that's
Mm-hmm.
sort of on the edge of it, really. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely check out Public Enemies if you haven't. Like I said, I reviewed it on Fedora Friday. It's my most viewed video. Like I said, the Dillinger hat, is iconic, and yeah, just Johnny Depp doing his influencer thing.
I just got done watching. I don't know if it's that. I don't think it's that one, but it's got Kevin Costner, De Niro. Which one is that?
Untouchable.
Untouchables. Yeah. I just got. Watching that this last week.
The Untouchables.
You did that before, right? You covered that.
Correct.
One? Yeah,
I did cover the Untouchables. Also iconic.
Yeah. If you haven't seen that, definitely check it out. Great actor. Like some top-notch actors in there, but the wardrobes. It's pretty cool. It's good little variety of some flat cap. I think Connery's character was a newsboy or a flat cap. But,
yes.
If you haven't seen it, watch Good Looks first, and then go watch the movie.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Nathan. Morgan asked about a yellow Fetzer felt. I'm not familiar, but Paul, Paul?
Yeah, I've seen it. In fact, I've had one yellow wool felt from them, I think, but I think they haven't got any in stock at the moment, from what I can see. But certainly, I must admit, I would like one like that. That would be a color which would really pop, because their colors seem to be very, very rich, and in depth, if you like, not like some of the other felts that I've seen. It's, I don't know how they do it, but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
it does look really good.
Yeah, Morgan mentions it's also available in Nutria or Nuturia, depending on how you pronounce it. Nice and sturdy. Yeah, nice alternative to beaver. Again, we talked about that. Right, that's also another evolution. Wool might be right if you're starting off with a kind of an economically priced hat, right? Crushable, right? We saw the Scala. That's likely made of wool. But as you start going into some of the other materials, obviously rabbit is kind of the standard, but then you're able to see examples in beaver and in Nuturia or Nutria, and obviously there's a functional reason. That's a very sturdy felt, and keep you from the elements. So yeah. What are you showing us, Nathan? Oh, that's right, the crushable. There you go. It's functional. Like I said, we talk about travel. Travel's a big deal.
I would not do this to a PJM.
Understood. Ian says, I wore my Oxblood Blucher shoes today. I don't know what Blucher shoes look like, but if it's an Oxblood, it can't look bad. I'm convinced there are no shoes that look bad in Oxblood. Belts as well. It's just one of those, like, it's that just eye-catching color. The felts, like I said, the evolution in the color, I think that's and I've gotten reactions. Not everybody digs the red hat, meaning they say, all right, well, I think it looks all right, but I wouldn't wear one. But that's okay. The thing about it is, there's some, not everything is for everybody, but you want to kind of have it there because you never know who's watching, right? If you post it on there, you might be creating a new hat, choice that somebody else didn't even know existed.
I'm telling you, I mean, this is almost like I call it a rich red. It's almost like an understated red, because I don't feel like this is like just in your face. Like, what in the world is that? It's
no.
Rich and kind of elegant, and I'm excited to kind of try this out with a couple of different, like a black suit, or even that white blazer I'm going to have on. I mean, I think there's some possibilities there, because when you talk about evolving tastes, like you look for those, especially entry level, of those colors that we talked about that kind of blend in with what you have. But as you start to kind of venture out, then you're like, okay, well, how do I match this up? Because like even Paul, he's got his kind of the green hat on.
Yeah.
Green's probably not going to be, I call it green, but I'm sure there's a name for it. But I'm sure like that color is going to be maybe your fifth or sixth hat color that you get, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, he's got a navy shirt on. You don't even think anything of it. I mean, it just, you
Correct.
know, and the band is in that same color family as the blue. So,
Yes.
you know, you don't
Yeah.
even, it's just an afterthought. You don't even, but when you first start, you're thinking, man, I can't get a green hat. I don't have anything that goes with green. You know, what am I
Right.
going to do? But here it is. So that's the color. We talk about evolving the color, the brims, the crowns, whether it's a trilby, fedora, western, crossover, bowler. You know, it's just you start to kind of venture into all different avenues of how your tastes expand. You know, and if you stay in that one lane, man, that's cool. Like, you know, that's you. That's your taste, right?
That's
If it
right.
evolves and you run the spacious road, so to speak, that's okay. I mean, it's just, you know, it's all acceptable, and it's how it makes us feel, and the camaraderie that we get out of it.
I agree 100%. And Morgan adds about weight. That's another thing that we've talked about in the past, you know, and this is like one of the things that, well, one of the many things that Paul kind of brought here that from my own personal education, you know, was appreciating the differences in the weights of the felt, right? Like everybody remember, you know, you can hear audibly when Paul does the knock on the Western weight. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's heft, you know, and yeah, the Westerns. There you go. Yeah,
Mine's a soft buttery.
that's right. But yeah, Nutria, like I said, that's you know, I only own one thanks to Paul, and it gives you a new appreciation for the utility that has, and I just feel like there's not as many out there. I don't know. You know, again, I don't know what the cost differential is. I know Beaver is definitely up there, but yeah, definitely check out for your Nutria or Naturia. My first Nutria evolved my hat taste. Yeah, there you go. Because again, if you're coming from a Western, you know you want something tough. It's nice to have another option, you know.
Probably the one hat that I regret selling was a Nutria hat. And that was a Borsellino, and I could not believe what I bought when I bought it until I did some research and then realized, and I sold it, you know, for a good price. But my goodness me, I've not seen a better hat since. So, you know, Nutria is a wonderful material.
Yeah,
I don't have one of those.
Agreed. And Ian providing some historical knowledge. I love this.
Saved our
General
bacon.
Brooke arrived late and saved our bacon at Waterloo.
Way to go, General.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just briefly looked that up. It's kind of like a derby, right, Ian? Like in the derby family.
Yeah. And then Morgan's, how much I'll probably close it out pretty shortly, Morgan, but definitely like I said, if you want to come on, please do. You know, Morgan says I like to come up and say hello, but understandable if not much longer. Yeah, no worries, Morgan. Like I said, you know, we do this regularly, so it's one of those things where I'm like, you're always welcome. I send that link out to everybody, even if you can't stay long. You can just pop in and pop out. So
just like Cheers, you just find your side of the bar.
That's right. You just find, like I said, you know, you don't have to sit for a whole beer, you know. But yeah, I just want to make sure I keep it out open for anybody that wants to just add anything else before we close out. Ian says like a derby,
yeah.
but
okay.
Piece is separate.
Gotcha.
All right.
I knew there was a little nuance there with it, but
yeah,
yeah, that's all that I've got, guys. I appreciate providing the forum again. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
This is I don't think I've lost count how many PJMs I have now, which is good or bad. I don't know, but yeah, thank you guys, and I'm gonna get back to it over here in
It
the
is our
Carolinas.
pleasure to help you spend your money with some eye
I-
candy.
I know it. I know it.
It keeps me a little bit better in eating well, and obviously everybody here enjoys that. Like I said, it was very organic, so I love it. But
good.
I want to thank you guys all for joining today. Paul, Nathan, Brad, who's back. He'll tell us about some more about the cheesecake and the historical stuff that he gained in the future. And I'm gonna just leave you how I always leave you, right? Like, you don't have to support these good folks, although you should. But there is one thing you got to do. It's non-negotiable, or we'll get General Blucher after you, right? It's like you don't want to get the bad side of General Blucher. Hopefully, I probably butchered that, so pardon me on that. But the one thing you got to do, it's non-negotiable, right? Is that you got to stay hatting, my friend. Have a great day. Ciao, everybody.
See y'all.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye.